Welcome back to the channel. Y'all see the title of the video. I'm going to be talking about the best players in NBA history who never won the Defensive Player of the Year award, who were greats defensively. But I more so wanted to focus on two particular players who I felt like should have definitely won the DPOY award. And it's an abomination that these players don't have a Defensive Player of the Year award in their resume, because they truly should have won this award. And when I name these two players, you guys are definitely gonna agree with me. But yeah, I've always been big on players who can, be great on the defensive side of the ball, because we all know basketball, the name of the game is to put the ball in the hoop, right? But let's say if there's two teams that's playing each other and one team is more talented offensively and one team is just really, really good on the defensive end, that defensive team can win just by getting enough stops, because it presents more opportunities to outscore the team they're playing against. Even though they're not that talented than them on the offensive side of the ball, they were able to get enough stops. You know what I'm saying? And I truly believe the saying, defense wins championships. And you can just look at the players who are, who has the most all defensive team selections in NBA history. As we see on the screen, number one is Tim Duncan. He has 15 all defensive team selections, most of all time. 8 first teams, 7 second teams. Second place is Kobe Bryant. Hey, we all know he has 5 chips, just like how Tim Duncan does. Kobe has, 12 defensive selections, 9 first teams, 3 second teams. Third is Kevin Garnett. He has a championship with the 08 Celtics, and, multiple finals appearances, multiple deep playoff runs, and he's a Defensive Player of the Year award winner. He won the Defensive Player of the Year award in 08, anchoring that Boston Celtics, that great Boston Celtics team. And they were really tremendous on the defensive end. One of the best defensive teams of all time. Definitely like a top 10, top 5 defensive team overall. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was great, on the defense side of the ball. As you see, he made 4. Well, he's 4th place in the all defensive team selection. He's 4th in with the most. And he was really better in defense with the Milwaukee Bucks, which was his prime years in the NBA. But, nonetheless, he was still a great defensive player. And Bobby Jones is 5th. He with the most all defensive team selections. He has 11. 8 first teams, one second team selection. And with Bobby Jones, right, he was great defensively. Him and Maurice Sheets were really the best defenders on that 83 76ers team. But, man, that team overall still played great defense. That's why they were able to sweep the Showtime Lakers in the NBA Finals. And that just gets swept under the rug. I feel like not a lot of people talk about that series, or mention that when they talk about the Showtime Lakers. They were a great team, great dynasty. Man, we will never probably see another team like the Showtime Lakers in NBA history. But, man, they got swept in the finals twice, by the way. To the Pistons in 89, and then, in 83 to the Philadelphia 76ers. And look at that. Why they got swept by those two teams? Because those two teams are just better than them on the defensive side of the ball. Great defense. So, man, I'm trying to tell y'all, defense really win chips. And just look at these players on that have the most all defensive team selections, man. Draymond Green, 4 championships. Dennis Johnson, multiple championships. One with the with the Supersonics in 79, and then multiple with the with the Boston Celtics. Michael Jordan, 6 championships. And he's not the GOAT, in my opinion, because he can score so much points. He's of course a top 5 scorer, but, man, he is also a top 5 perimeter defensive player. Michael Jordan played really great on-ball defense. As you see, Jason Kidd, he won a championship as well. Just one, but it was later on in his career in the 2011 season with the Dallas Mavericks, his second tenure with the Mavericks. But if you look back, right, at the 2011 playoffs, Jason Kidd was guarding the opposing team's best player. He was guarding Kobe Bryant in the Lakers series, making it tough for him. And I feel like when it comes to people who guard Kobe, man, who guard him the best, man, you got to say it was Kidd. Kidd has to be up there in terms of players who guarded Kobe Bryant the best. He was able to, poke the ball from him, strip him. He was able to giving some body, because Kobe was like kind of aggressive, in triple threat, and when he's backing you down. But Kidd was right there, banging with him, making it tough for him, making him shoot a tough fadeaway shot. He was just making him shoot like a low field goal percentage. And man, Kidd was guarding the team's best players in that 2011 run for the Mavericks when they won the championship. Go back and look it up. He was guarding D Wade. He was guarding LeBron as well in the finals. He guarded Kevin Durant when they played OKC. Man, he was just playing great defensive player. Great defensively. Man, so shout out J Kidd. He don't get enough credit, in my opinion, in terms of defense. But hey, as you see, he's 10th with the most all defense team selections. Hakeem Olajuwon, top 10 player all time. Arguably one of the best two-way players of all time. Number one in the all-time total block list in NBA history. And I wanted to say this with, defense. I wanted to bring this up. Defense is more than steals and blocks. Defense isn't always quantifiable. I always try to tell people this. That's why I didn't want to, just pull up, steals, blocks, defensive win shares, steals percentage, and all that stuff. Because, again, you just can't look at the stat sheet and say someone was a good defensive player. Because in the NBA history, there's been so many players who were great defensively, but they didn't accumulate a lot of steals and blocks. Like, look at my guy, Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman didn't really accumulate a lot of steals and blocks, but he's without a doubt, a top 10 defensive player all time. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year award winner. And it wasn't because he got a lot of steals and blocks. It was because he really made the best of the best players shut down. He shut them down. He made it tough for them. He made them shoot a low field goal percentage. He was making stars, not play well. And that's what defense is about. Just getting stops. It isn't just about steals and blocks, man. So I just want, people to, really know that, because most people who really know the game is already hip. You feel me? But sometimes, you talk to people about defense and they'll always just bring up steals and blocks and like it's the end all be all. And I blame NBA voters because of that. Because when you look at the Defensive Player of the Year award winners, most of them go to who? Most of them go to centers because the voters value blocks more. They just look at the total number of blocks. Who got the most blocks? Oh, it was the center? Give him Defensive Player of the Year. That's why Rudy Gobert has multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards, because he just accumulates a lot of blocks, right? And I wanted to bring this up because let me just get into my who I feel like are the two players who should have definitely won the Defensive Player of the Year award in their career. And that is Tim Duncan and Scottie Pippen. Multiple championship between these players. Top 5 dynasties that these teams played for. Pippen with the 90s Bulls, and then Tim Duncan with the 2000 Spurs. And man, Tim Duncan's career is just so amazing. He was able to win a chip in 3 decades. He won a chip in 99, 3 chips in the 2000s, in 03, 05, and 07, and then won a chip years later in 2014. Just amazing career. And he really was the anchor of the Spurs defense. Tim Duncan truly was. And he should have won the Defensive Player of the Year award in this particular season, the 2006-2007 season, which was one of the closest he ever came to actually winning DPOY. But who did he lose to? Marcus Camby. And that just goes to show you, you look at this list, how good the Spurs were defensively this year. Bruce Bowen, his teammate, the small forward on the Spurs, came in second place. But we all know why Tim Duncan didn't win the DPOY award this year. It was because of this. As we see, Marcus Camby averaged 3.3 blocks, and Tim Duncan only averaged 2.4. And that's just crazy work. And for my guy, Scottie Pippen, right? I feel like he should have won the Defensive Player of the Year award in the 94-95 NBA season. He came in second place to Dikembe Mutombo. As we see, the Mutombo averaged pretty much 4 blocks that series. He averaged 3.9 blocks that season. And Scottie Pippen averaged, 1 block and 3 steals this year. And Scottie Pippen also, he led the league in steals in the 94-95 season. And this is like one of his best years of all time. This and his, the 93-94 season, the season when Jordan left and went to go play baseball, are Pippen's best seasons, individually. Man, look what he was balling. Look what he was doing. He was balling out. 21 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Again, 3 steals, a block, while shooting an efficient 48% from the field. Yeah, just amazing. Just an amazing defensive player, man. I love Scottie Pippen's game. And what made him such a good defensive player was more so his versatility, and he was more team oriented when it comes to defense. He didn't really gamble that much like how Michael Jordan did. And I know a lot of people always debate who was the better defender between Pippen and Jordan. Michael Jordan fans, don't kill me because I love MJ. I literally think Michael Jordan is the GOAT. But, man, Scottie Pippen was definitely the better defensive player by a small margin. And that is just due to his versatility, because Pippen, he can guard multiple positions. MJ was really just guarding, shooting guards at small forwards and occasionally point guards. But Scottie can guard point guards through power forwards. And occasionally, Pippen can guard centers. And again, he was more, team-oriented, focusing on help defense, defensive rotations, to help his teammates, who get blow by and stuff. He was always there to recover for his team defensively. Go back and watch those Bulls games, man. Yes, Michael Jordan was without a doubt, again, a top 5 perimeter defensive player. But when you just look at their roles, it makes more sense that Scottie was better defensively because he had to focus more on defense due to Michael Jordan's role as the team's primary scorer, right? And MJ, it kind of limited MJ from having to deal with, bigger small forwards. So they'll just, give the assignment to Pippen, because, MJ, yes, he was a complete player, a complete two-way player. But, man, the Bulls really needed him to save his energy on the offensive end because that's what they really needed from Mike. You know what I'm saying? But Mike did guard tougher perimeter players. Let's not get it twisted at all. He really did guard, tougher perimeter players. In the 91 series, they really did take turns, guarding Magic. I know a lot of people have the myth saying, oh, they got switched to Scottie. Scottie was the one that shut him down. Nah, Pippen and Jordan was taking turns guarding Magic Johnson that series and, making it tough for him. But, yeah, Pippen was great defensively, dude. And I want to show you guys some clips. Just some clips. Not for too long because, YouTube be tripping. But, yeah. Look at that. Good read. Great anticipation. He always was good at those. Look at that. Steals the ball, saves it. And look at that. He's going to take a pull-up 3 in transition. Cash money all day. And I always say this about Pippen, right? In a way, he was ahead of his time because if you look up in the mid-90s, Pippen more so kind of changed his game. He started to take a lot of three-pointers. That's why I said Pippen would truly excel in today's NBA. Every time I go back and watch old Bulls games, I'm like, man, Pippen will eat and just be an even better player if he was able to play in today's NBA. No hand checking. You're allowed to, chuck three-pointers. And Pippen was doing that in transition. As you see, he was taking a lot of above-the-break threes in transition, especially, again, in that mid to late 90s era. A lot of people sometimes will question and talk about Pippen's shot selection because he was doing that a lot in the mid to late 90s. But he was able to knock them down. He was knocking down threes. Let's not get it twisted. Pippen can definitely shoot. And, man, if he was able to play today, his shooting would have been even better, just being able to take more, threes. It would be encouraged more because, that's more so of the style of today's NBA. And, again, he was a point forward. Man, a great ball handler, can bring the ball up court, can pass really, really well, orchestrate the offense. And he was the defensive anchor for them Bulls teams. I'm telling y'all. Especially in that in the first three-peat, right? In the second three-peat, you can say it was him and Rodman for sure. But man, honestly, the Bulls were always a good defensive team. Overall, the team was really great defensively. But Pippen was truly the team's defensive anchor, man. So shout out to my boy Pippen, man. Let's take a look at some more clips, man. My boy Pippen. Pippen ain't easy. Look at that steal. He put up a transition 3. Again, me talking about him taking threes. Let me just run it back a little quick. Look at that. Good anticipation. Pull up 3 in transition. I told y'all he was taking those, man. Look at that. Making it tough for them to get the post entry pass to Barkley, who ate in on the block. Charles Barkley, that was his spots. His spot was the block. That's where he got most of his buckets. Top 5 power forward all time. And you see Pippen was making it tough for him. Good read, man. Good read. And shout out to, look at that. Look at the behind the back. And look at this. Like I said, he can guard centers, right? Look at him defending Pat Ewing. Look at him defending Patrick Ewing, bruh. Look at that. He's making it tough for him. It's not about steals and blocks. Look at that. He's trying to force him out as much as possible. Stay in front of him. Good contest. He has a 7'2" wingspan. Good contest. Look at that. Able to play the... Tim Duncan, he was more so of a rim protector when it comes to defense. He wasn't that good, in terms of perimeter defense. But still, he anchored the team's defense, right? In terms of, him just being able to read the pick and roll well. Again, it's more than blocks. It's defense is more than steals and blocks. But for his career, Tim Duncan averaged, as you see, 2.2 blocks for his career. So he really made it tough, for opponents around the rim. He will alter a lot of shots. You see, Kobe wants to go one-on-one. I want to show this. This is perfect. You see how Kobe went one-on-one because Kobe knew he had him beat. Kobe was going to go to the basket and just lay it up or dunk it, right? But look at Tim Duncan. He was able to stop Kobe from coming into the lane and scoring at the basket. Look at that good jab step. He was about to go all the way to the cup. But Kobe saw Tim Duncan was waiting for him. And look, Tim Duncan was still able to recover, block Shaq. But yeah, they still end up scoring the ball. But man, him just rotating and just having so much coverage was amazing, bro. And look at this. More amazing coverage. Look at the coverage, man. He's everywhere. Look at that. He's everywhere. Able to pick up on Fisher and still was able to block Shaq. And this is peak prime Shaq, by the way, yo. Man, shout out to Tim Duncan, man. He should have won the Defensive Player of the Year award in 2007, and then, man, Pippen should have won the Defensive Player of the Year award in 95. But again, they just look at the total number of blocks. They only care about blocks. Other great players in NBA history who never won Defensive Player of the Year award, definitely Kobe, Bill Russell, again, Jason Kidd too. Man, they were just great on that side of the ball. Kobe really loved defense. He loved defense, He talked about, defense being his favorite side of the ball to play mostly. And he just loved getting stops because he knew he was such a great scorer. You know what I'm saying? And maybe we could just take a look at Kobe just talking about it. Just look at
play defense is always more fun to me because it's more of a challenge. Like offensively, I feel like I can score. But defensively, it's more of a challenge to say, okay, Kobe, you got D-Wade. Kobe, you got LeBron James. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, let's go. That's more of a challenge to me.
But yeah, man, I just wanted to talk about this real quickly, man. I know this video might be kind of long, but yeah, the best players who have never won the Defensive Player of the Year award, in my opinion, is Scottie Pippen and Tim Duncan. Man, they definitely should have won it, but man, them just being great defensive anchors for their teams, and we saw what they did. They won multiple championships. So shout out to these two players. But yeah, y'all tell me your thoughts and opinions in the comments. Who else do you believe? Who do you all think should have been? What was a great player defensively that never won D-Boy? Y'all let me know. Share your thoughts and opinions, and please stay posted to my channel. I'm gonna definitely upload some more vids this week. All right. Thanks for watching. Till next video.